Your seedlings can be growing in the wrong climate without ever leaving your house. A warm, covered tray may produce a perfect line of green hooks. Then those seedlings stretch, collapse, or stall. Another tray looks healthy for weeks, only to scorch during its first afternoon outdoors. The seed was not necessarily bad, and the container was not necessarily wrong. The plant simply crossed into a new stage while the gardener kept giving it the old conditions. From packet to garden bed, a seedling passes through 3 different climates. Learning when to change those climates is what turns germination into a transplant that can actually survive. The first climate begins before the packet is opened. Start with the day the plant is likely to move outside. Then work backward using the seed packet and guidance from your local cooperative extension. That outdoor date depends on the crop, recent weather, soil conditions, and your local frost pattern. A tomato, a cabbage, and a cucumber do not share the same tolerance or the same indoor schedule. This is where a USDA hardiness zone can mislead people. The zone describes average annual extreme minimum winter temperatures, which is useful when choosing perennial plants. It is not a personalized last frost date or a seed starting calendar. 2 gardens in the same zone can have different spring conditions because of elevation, coastal influence, cold air settling in a valley, or the heat stored around a city. For annual vegetables and flowers, local planting guidance in the current forecast are the better starting points. Starting too early feels cautious, but it can create a harder problem. Seedlings kept indoors longer need more light, root space, water, and attention. A tomato that becomes tall and crowded before the soil outside is ready is not ahead. It is waiting under deteriorating conditions. Begin with the transplant date, count backward by the crop's recommended indoor period, and write the sowing date on the calendar. The first upgrade to a seed starting setup is often restrained. Now build the germination climate. Clean containers with drainage holes can be purpose-made cell trays or carefully prepared household containers. Reused pots should be washed and disinfected according to extension guidance, because old soil and plant debris can carry organisms into the new crop. Whatever the container looks like, water must be able to leave it. Fill it with a lightweight, soilless growing medium rather than dense garden soil. Roots in a small cell need both water and oxygen, and heavy soil can hold too much water while also bringing weed seeds or pathogens indoors. Moisten dry mix before filling the cells so water is distributed through the container instead of running around dry pockets. The texture should be evenly damp, not dripping. Sow each crop at the depth on its packet. Some seeds need light to germinate, while others are covered, so one universal depth creates avoidable failures. Label the row or cell immediately with the plant and sowing date. That small tag becomes useful evidence later. If one tray emerges and another does not, you can compare the crop, age of the seed, depth, temperature, and moisture instead of guessing. During germination, the medium needs steady moisture and a temperature suitable for that crop. A clear cover can slow water loss, and bottom heat can help warmth-loving seeds where the room is cool. But both tools are temporary. Check the tray every day. A covered container sitting in direct sun can overheat quickly, while a heat mat can dry small cells faster than expected. Then the first shoot breaks the surface and the rules change. Remove the humidity cover as seedlings emerge. Move the tray into strong, consistent light and adjust any heat source for the crop rather than automatically continuing the warmest possible setting. Germination used the seed's stored energy. The new leaves now need enough light to build the plant that follows. Bright windowsill looks convenient, but it often changes temperature dramatically between a cold night and a sunny afternoon. The light also comes from one direction, which encourages stems to lean and stretch. Adjustable fluorescent or LED fixtures give a more consistent result. Keep them close enough for the crop and fixture, raise them as the leaves grow, and use a timer so seedlings receive a regular day followed by darkness. If stems are becoming long, pale, and weak, adding fertilizer does not solve a shortage of light. More nutrients can push growth without fixing the energy problem. Improve the light, reduce crowding, and check whether the seedlings were started too early. A compact transplant with a sturdy stem is usually more useful than the tallest plant on the shelf. The same reversal happens with water. Seeds need continuous moisture once germination begins, but emerged roots also need air. Saturated mix pushes oxygen out of the pores and creates conditions that favor root problems. Learn the weight and color of a freshly watered tray, then compare it as the surface approaches dry. Water thoroughly when needed and let the excess drain. Bottom watering can moisten the root zone without repeatedly wetting tender stems, but do not leave the cells standing in water after the mix has absorbed what it needs. This balance is the difference between a damp nursery and a stagnant one. Seedlings that narrow, discolor, and collapse at the soil line may be suffering from damping off, a group of diseases favored by excessive moisture, high humidity, poor drainage, and crowding. A fallen seedling cannot be propped up and restored. Remove affected plants and growing medium, clean the equipment, and correct the wet, crowded conditions before starting again. Prevention is far easier than rescue. Air movement helps the surface dry more normally and reduces pockets of humidity around crowded leaves. That does not mean blasting a tray with a strong fan. Gentle circulation in the growing area is enough. Space seedlings so leaves are not pressed together, and avoid sowing a dense carpet when individual plants will soon compete for light and air. The next change arrives when true leaves appear. Those are the leaves that resemble the mature plant, not the first simple seed leaves. Seedlings growing in an open flat may be ready to move into individual cells, while plants already in cells may eventually need a larger container. Handle small plants gently, protect the stem, and keep the roots moist while they are out of the mix. The goal is more room without turning potting up into repeated root damage. Not every crop benefits from a long indoor childhood. Beans, corn, cucumbers, squash, and melons are often grown only briefly as transplants or sown directly, depending on local conditions and the gardener's purpose. Their timing and root sensitivity differ from tomatoes, peppers, onions, or many flowers. Check crop-specific guidance before assuming that every seed belongs on the same shelf. Fertilizer also depends on the growing medium and the plant's stage. Many commercial mixes contain enough nutrients for an initial period, while other media contain little or none. Read the product label, watch the seedlings, and follow crop and extension guidance before feeding. Young roots can be damaged by excessive fertilizer, especially when the plant is already stressed by dry or saturated mix. A bigger dose is not a substitute for correct light, water, or root space. By now, the shelf may hold short, green plants with expanding roots. Indoors, that looks like success. Outside, however, the sun is brighter, wind pulls moisture from leaves, temperatures rise and fall, and water disappears from containers faster. The final climate change is the one gardeners are most tempted to rush. Hardening off gradually introduces those outdoor stresses. Over roughly a week or two, depending on the crop and local guidance, begin with a protected period outdoors in shade and mild conditions. Bring tender seedlings back inside before temperatures become unsafe. Increase their time outside, light exposure and air movement in stages, while keeping them from severe wilting. Delay the process when freezing temperatures, strong wind, or punishing heat are forecast. Do not confuse hardening with neglect. Withholding enough water to cause repeated wilting can injure plants, and severe chilling can stop the growth of sensitive crops. The purpose is controlled adjustment. You are teaching leaves, stems, and roots to operate in the garden they are about to enter. Choose a cloudy day or late afternoon for transplanting when possible. Water the seedlings and the prepared planting area, place each crop at an appropriate depth, and settle soil around the root ball without crushing it. Peat or paper pot rims should not remain exposed above the soil where they can wick moisture away. Row cover or another suitable protector can soften wind and temperature swings, but it must be used safely and removed or vented as conditions require. Fall seedlings travel through the same chain in the opposite seasonal direction. The outdoor deadline may be based on the crop's time to maturity and the approach of freezing weather rather than spring's last frost. Heat can make late summer germination difficult, and shortening days can slow later growth. Use a local fall planting calendar instead of simply repeating the spring schedule. If you want more practical garden advice that respects regional differences, subscribe to Pollinator. We will keep translating plant science into decisions you can use at home. Return to that first tray of green hooks. Germination was never the finish line. It was a handoff from a warm, moist seed environment to a bright, airy growing environment, followed by a gradual move into real weather. The container matters, but the transitions matter more. Grow for the next climate, and the plant that reaches your garden will be compact, prepared, and ready to continue.